What if mooning a hostile crowd was the smartest political move you could make? And what if your city's most effective mayor wasn't a slick-talking politician, but a philosopher who fought students, hired mimes, and filled himself showering on TV? Hi, welcome to Kreatio. I'm your host, VC Hana. Today, we're exploring a strange but true idea that absurdity might just be a secret ingredient of successful leadership. Let's rewind to 1993 in Bogotá, Colombia. In the 1990s, the city was in crisis. Violence was endemic, traffic was deadly, and citizens had lost faith in traditional governance. Antanas Mockus is president of the nation's top university. He walks into an auditorium to give a speech, but it's chaos. The crowd is angry, yelling, protesting, and on the verge of violence. What would most leaders do? Shout back, walk out, call the police? But Mockus? He turns around, drops his pants, and moons the audience. Yes, that actually happened. But why? Mockus later said, "It's without a doubt a bad example, but what they saw had the color of peace, white." Weird? Totally. But effective? Shockingly, yes. This wasn't a meltdown. It was a reset, a moment designed to interrupt aggression with absurdity. That mooning incident, it ended his university presidency, but began something else. It made him famous and oddly trusted, because when logic and argument fail, sometimes only art or nonsense can shift the mood. The following year, Mockus ran for mayor of Bogotá. He lived with his mom, an extraordinary figure and renowned sculptor and ceramist. Her artistic worldview helped shape Mockus's creative approach to leadership. His campaign was run out of her humble apartment, and he did this all with no political party. Yet, he won in a landslide. Mockus went on to serve as mayor from 1995 to 1997, then again from 2001 to 2003. So when this philosophy professor turned mayor took office in a city torn apart by violence, what did he do? Let me give you a few examples that show his approach in action. Can simple shame, not force, change behavior? Mockus thought so. He hired 420 street performers to mock bad drivers. No tickets, no arrests, just public shaming with pantomime. And traffic deaths declined in half. And then mimes were just the beginning. What if you can reduce crime with theater? To tackle the murder crisis, Mockus didn't just cite statistics, he made people feel them. He stood in a graveyard surrounded by empty coffins, each one representing a murder victim from that month. He wanted people to viscerally understand what those numbers meant. The result? Homicide rates began dropping dramatically. So the following year, on the Day of the Dead, he returned to the same cemetery, but this time with 500 volunteers. Each volunteer stepped into a crypt representing a life saved, then leapt out. Mockus also aggressively embraced community policing. By the end of his tenure, homicide rates had fallen 70% from their peak. And then arguably his most audacious move, he asked citizens to voluntarily pay more taxes, not because they had to, because they wanted to help their city. And over 63,000 people actually said yes. Oh, and it gets even wilder. Once, he filmed himself showering on a national TV commercial to teach water conservation. Water usage down 40%. These weren't just random acts. They were part of a bigger vision. So what is going on here? Mockus wasn't just being weird for weird's sake. He executed on a provocative theory of civic performance as policy. His acts were rituals designed to create meaning. And he believed governance wasn't merely about enforcing rules, it was about shaping how people understood and relate to one another. As he put it, if people know the rules and are sensitized by art, humor, and creativity, they are much more likely to accept change. What's actually needed, Mockus believes, is to grab their attention, interrupt their expectations, change the story they think they're in, and then give them agency to act out a new script if they see fit. Leadership, in his view, was like writing the first half of a sentence and trusting the people to write the second half. We usually think of leadership as power, persuasion, or control. But Mockus asked, what if leadership involved participation? What if public policy involved public performance? And what if a little absurdity is exactly what sparks a city to feel again? Maybe it's time for leaders not just to inform us, but to surprise us, delight us, involve us. Because sometimes the most rational thing is to be a little irrational. Thanks for watching. If you're inspired to rethink leadership or just want more wild stories like this, hit subscribe. And hey, has a leader in your city ever done something so absurd it actually worked? Drop it in the comments. I want to know. See you next time.